Right, we have a brilliant guest. I'm so excited to meet him and talk to him. Vassos, what's his name?
Our next guest is a businessman, podcaster, and proof that great minds think differently. Fresh from founding a non-alcoholic spirits giant, he's now smashing up the podcast charts. The Hidden 20% is available now, and new episodes land every Wednesday. So please welcome both 20% and 10 out of 10, Ben Branson.
Ben, good morning, mate.
Good morning.
Welcome to the top of the tower.
Thanks for being at the top of the tower.
Goodness me, you are so welcome. You don't get to the top by fitting in. Even a dead fish can go with the flow, etc., etc., etc.
The list goes on.
Yeah, let's go along, Ben. Ben, just tell people a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind. Give them your Ben Branson elevator pitch.
So I'm 41, father of 3 girls, autistic, ADHD. I've got various businesses. I'm a farming boy. I hate being in London. I'm a countryside absolute lover. Like being on my own in the woods. And just want to make things better.
All right, so what's your most famous achievement thus far?
I mean, the most recent one has got to be Best Interview Podcast winner at the British Podcast Awards.
Round of applause for that. I think, here we go. This is a genuine, sincere, authentic round of applause. All right. Don't give him all the beans. Save some for me. Before that, Ben, can we talk about some entrepreneurial achievements, say, a few years ago?
Yeah, let's talk about Seedlip. So world's first distilled non-alcoholic spirit. If you are not drinking alcohol for whatever reason, the options are usually rubbish. Were rubbish.
Yes.
Orange juice, sparkling water.
Yeah.
And yeah, by mucking around with herbs and spices and little copper pot stills, I started this business from my kitchen in 2015, and it went to like 35 countries.
So what was the business?
The business was Seedlip, so a range of non-alcoholic spirits. You can have them with tonic or in cocktails. And yeah, we took it to all the best bars.
Yeah, you did, and it exploded. The first person, I don't know if you know this, but do you know who told me about Seedlip?
No.
Mary Berry.
Oh,
Wow. Come on.
Wow.
She said, Chris, have you tried Seedlip? Because when I'm tennising with the girls, I like to keep it clean. So she went clean with Seedlip. She was Mary flipping Berry, mate. I mean, that's cool, isn't it?
Love it.
Mary
My
Berry,
mum will be chuffed with that.
Kind of Seedlippy name herself. She's a Berry, for heaven's sake.
There you go.
How do you start that journey? What's the first thing you do?
The first thing I did was actually had nothing to do with business. I wasn't even trying to create a business. I was, I love growing stuff at home, and I like experimenting, and I like understanding how things work. And so, yeah, I bought one of these little stills and started playing around with distilling herbs from my garden.
So how does it get from that to this world-renowned product, Seedlip?
Well, it took 2 years, number one. And it basically started gradually dawning on me that, oh my God, if you go to a bar or a restaurant or a party or an event, the options are really rubbish. You
could just about get a decent low or no beer.
Yes,
about.
You could. There'd been a couple that had launched, but then there was nothing in menus. Yeah. If you went to an event, you had a glass of water. People
or a
were
fruit
making
punch or something.
Yeah, horrible mocktails full of fruit juice and sugar. And there was nothing really that treated you like an adult. And I don't care why you're not drinking alcohol. It doesn't. You don't have to be sober. It doesn't matter. I just care you get something good that's grown up.
Oh, well done. And what was the tipping point for that product?
I planned to make 500 bottles summer of 2015, and I got introduced to the buyer at Selfridges. She said, I've got 15 minutes for you, and I don't like anything without alcohol in.
Right.
I was like, okay. And so I took a bit of Seedlip, bottle of tonic, made her a drink. She loved it and said, I want it here. And I doubled my first production run to 1,000 bottles, and they sold out in 3 weeks. And my plan was that was going to take 6 months.
Oh, yeah, no, tell us about the 3 hits, because this is good, isn't it?
So the first 1,000 sold out in 3 weeks.
Yes.
Second 1,000 sold out in 2.5 days.
Yes.
And the third 1,000 sold out in 30 minutes online. There were people queuing outside Selfridges.
Right.
at 8 o'clock in the morning to get their hands on a bottle of Seedlip. It was
Yeah,
wild.
this is sort of, I mean, don't get me wrong, Insta was around, of course it was, but this is pre that kind of Insta frenzy. So how
massively.
was that? I mean, that's some word of mouth going on there.
It is, and we didn't. You couldn't buy Seedlip from our website. Instagram was just getting started. This was like hands and feet, shoe leather, word of mouth, standing in Selfridges, sampling, getting people to try it. Getting into these amazing bars and restaurants and hotels, and just it snowballed.
And what's the best Seedlip year? Is it better year on year? Is it?
It depends. So one of our products is Seedlip Garden, and that uses peas. You see, I am a massive pea lover.
You are.
I've got peas tattooed on my knuckles.
You really have got tattoos.
We grow peas as a family.
It's nice.
And we hand-pick peas for the first 4 years.
Love it.
Yeah, you're still looking at my knuckles.
I am. I didn't see that before. I just remember I knew this bloke once. I didn't. I was going to tell a lie then. I didn't, only for the sake of a decent story. I know a guy who said he knew a bloke, right, that had love and hate tattooed on his knuckles, but then he lost a finger, so he had love and hat, which wasn't the same.
Marcus Brigstock told me this story 2 weeks ago when he came on the podcast.
No way.
I love it.
Well, Danny Baker told it to me, so Danny Baker probably told it to Marcus Brigstock as well. All right, so Seedlip's still going strong.
Steelit's still going strong in over 35 countries.
Congratulations.
Big loads of stuff going on in America, Australia. Yeah, this movement towards like drinking better just
it's massive.
is global.
Have you heard about
and
Tom
growing.
Holland's company, the actor?
I have, yes.
It's going to be massive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
Beero.
And there's plenty of room at the table for all this stuff, isn't there?
There is, and we've got started again with, we've just launched 2 new projects, Season and Silver. We're making dark non-alcoholic spirits at home
I've been reading and listening a lot about various people, your Walt Disneys and your Pablo Picassos and your Steve Jobses and loads of people doing various things. And it seems that sort of long-form commerciality seems to be, from what I know, and I've read a lot about it, I could be wrong, has been known, it's split into 2 kinds of mindsets. So you got your Steve Jobs and your Walt Disney, who just focus on making the greatest product they possibly can. So when Walt Disney was making his first short talkie animation, he spent $13,000 per minute more on paints, so his cartoons were brighter. And his brother Roy, who ran the company Coffers, said, you can't do this because we're up against other companies making spending $2,500 a minute on animation. He said, yeah, but I believe ours are brighter, they will shine brighter, they're better. Focus on the product and the money will follow. Steve Jobs did the same thing with the computers. Picasso, ironically, his first exhibition, he didn't sell any of his he only ever painted to sell, even as a teenager. And his first paintings didn't sell, so he just started painting differently. So he just literally painted to order in a way. I suspect you're from the former gang.
Yeah, I guess in the drinks industry they call me a product man. Like I care most about the product and putting everything I can into making delicious liquids, for example, or into a really brilliant interview and podcast and charity. Like, I start from that rather than, and then believe everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah.
You do the right thing and make an amazing product that people want.
And the freedom within that mindset is, believe everything else will take care of itself, or not. Sure. It doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Other people can do that if they want.
Exactly.
So we come to the show every day. We used to have this big fat FM transmitter that Radio 2 still have because we couldn't bring it with them. We did try and sneak it out when we left, but they caught us at school. And so now we're here. But we turn up every day. It's a different transmitter. It's a different TSA, total station audience. But every day we come up, let's just do the best show ever, and whatever happens, happens.
Yep.
Not dissimilar.
Yep.
All right, which gets us to your podcast, which is flipping nominal. It's called The Hidden 20%. Give us the elevator pitch for this, please.
So I was diagnosed autistic ADHD in 2022. I had no idea about autism, Tourette's, never heard the word dyscalculia, didn't know what neurodiversity meant, nothing, really ignorant. And I started researching and got to the bottom of it and found 2 things. One, suicide is the second biggest killer of autistics. 85% of people in our prison system are believed to be neurodivergent. There's 10-year waiting lists for ADHD assessments. 94% of kids who are autistic are bullied at school. Like, really bad, shocking, terrible stats. At the same time, I found all these amazing examples of the Marilyn Monroes, Muhammad Ali's, all these icons I'd looked up to, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, no relation, Agatha Christie, Newton, Picasso, Michelangelo, the Wright brothers, you name it. All these incredible contributions to the way that we live were from people who think differently from neurodivergent people. And I couldn't understand the two. I couldn't understand how they were so far apart. And so I wanted to set up a charity, which I did January this year, to break the cycle. And enough of like the shame and the suffering and the silence and the stigma and the stereotypes. We need kind of these amazing role models and this representation to show people that you can think differently and you can behave differently, and it's okay.
It's not only okay, it's a blimmin' superpower.
Sure, it can be.
Most
it can
people
be
who are
amazing.
any good are apparently neurodivergent, is what I'm hearing. Do you know what I mean?
Not everyone, but,
yeah, but not far off.
But if supported,
all your favourites,
all my favourites,
yeah, all my favourites too.
You know,
Yeah.
Chris Packham, Darwin. I mean,
Everyone.
and I've talked about a lot of people who are not with us anymore, but.
Yeah.
You know, we sit down
but
with...
the stuff they did is, and the names are still ringing out louder than most people.
100%. So we sit down with, you know, experts, and I spoke to a neuropsychopharmacologist. Come on.
Get a load of that unhyphenated, really long, impressive word.
Neuropsychopharmacologist.
Like, I'm going to do something we don't usually do. I'm going to play a song and then we'll talk more about the podcast. Just because it's set up, you've teed it up absolutely perfectly. Ben Branson may not be related to Richard Branson, but he is married to his son, Sam. Aren't you?
My wife's going to love that.
Okay, Ben's wife is called Sam. Richard has a son called Sam. You had to be there.
We've all got it. They've got it. We've got it.
What's wrong with you non-neurodivergent? So, can't you get a neurodivergent gag when you hear one? So we're just talking off the air there, Ben, if you don't mind, about your sobriety. You've been clean now for 16 years.
My when I left prep school, my mum thought it would be a really nice idea to give the school a bench. She spent a lot of time standing on the side of the sports pitches. And so she wanted to donate a bench to the school, which I was like, okay, whatever. And the bench would have a plaque on it.
Right.
And it not with my name on, but with a quote. And the quote she chose for me was, "I can resist anything except temptation." Oscar Wilde's famous words. And yeah, that was absolutely true of me. Whether it was drink, drugs, danger, etc. I was an absolute risk taker.
So 25, you were 25.
Yep.
You've been clean and sober since 25, 16 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. One day at a time, I'm sure, as always. And one brilliant day at a time now. It's not difficult to give things up. Or not give things up. It's very difficult to give some things up. But it's not difficult to carry on having given them up when you realise how great life is without them.
100%. Yeah, when you realise you've not actually given anything up.
Yeah,
you've
gained a load of stuff
gained.
back.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then all this speaks to your neurodivergence, because you then look back and you saw this sort of rainbow coloured arc.
Yeah, I can literally, the psychologist at my assessment said, "Congratulations, Ben, you're autistic." And I believed her, and I felt that, and it was like somebody gave me a key. I didn't know where the door was.
Yeah.
And I didn't have all the answers.
But you had a key.
But I had a key.
Which suggests there's a door.
Yeah, which says there must be a lock. I've got to, come on, find it. And so, not that I spend all my time looking back and reflecting, but everything makes sense and has given me a lot of people say, "Oh, why do you want a label?" Or do you need a diagnosis? And the words don't really matter. It's not about the letters or what
Getting
neurotype
stuck
it
on
is.
the words is so non-neurodivergent.
It is. It's more about, okay, what does that mean, and how can I then help
forget all
myself?
that.
Yeah, forget all that. It doesn't matter whether it's autism or ADHD or whatever.
Forget the T's and C's.
Don't bother with dotting the I's. Don't bother. And so when you've got an infrastructure that's taking so long for people to get their assessments, that's you're just denying people this opportunity to understand themselves and take responsibility for themselves.
Yeah. Well, Eli, he's came back from France last night at 10:30, latest school pickup ever from his school trip. And we discovered he's neurodivergent, and we discovered that every day for the formative years of his life in his school life, we were sending him to a place full of things that were impossible for him to do. Nobody's fault. There's reasons for it, but nobody's fault.
No one's to
blame. It's not the
blame
blame game here.
Nope.
And then the second we discovered it was like, all right, well, he's clearly a super kid. Because that's the deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is what the podcast is all about. So who have you had? What kind of people, what type of people do you have on? Have you had on? Who do you hope to have on? What have you learnt from them? Give us some headlines.
So
from your award-winning podcast.
From our award-winning podcast. So I think we've had 35 guests now. We've only been going since the end of January. We are reaching 2 to 3 million people a week with our content.
Hello.
2 to 3 million people a week.
Amazing.
Which is epic. We've had everyone from actor Kit Harington, the legend Cary Grant, who is an absolute just brilliant person. Yeah. We've had dyslexic authors. Whoa, who'd have thought you could be dyslexic and write a book?
Yeah.
We've had reality TV stars. We've had pharmacologists,
Stop it now.
psychologists, charity CEOs. Basically our guest list is representative of neurodivergence, which is it's anyone.
Yeah.
This is
what about this? What about if it's everyone?
Well, it's one at the moment. It's 1.6 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
Hence the 20% hidden 20%. But yeah, who knows?
Well, we know a very clever lady called Sarah who runs the Key Clinic, which is to help people unlock their retained reflexes, and she's talking about 47%.
Wow.
But by the way, they're just numbers. These are just numbers. The point is, if you think differently, as we all sort of should, that's why I say I think we're all sort of neurodivergent.
Every single brain on the planet is different. That is a fact. Like a snowflake, like a fingerprint. Fact. That is neurodiversity.
That's why you should be you. You should major in being you because nobody else can be.
Exactly.
You win that race. You wake up having won that race every day.
Yep. And so why can't we? And so neurodivergence is when that norm, quote unquote, deters a bit.
Yeah.
And we should celebrate that.
Abnormie is the new normie.
It is. And look, in a world where there's lots of unhappy people and lots of pain and stuff we don't like.
Yeah.
The way to get out of all of this, I think, is with some different thinking.
I was so looking forward to meeting you, Ben, and you didn't disappoint. Ben Branson, the Hidden 20%, you're a great human being. Thank you for everything you do. And you are a great exemplar of one of our favourite phrases, which is, if you're feeling like a hotshot, you need to figure out a way to work yourself up to the level of servant. Because that's where you are, isn't it? In service.
Thank you.
We'll
yes.
be back in service.